15 reasons why you're not married. Now, I get a lot of women who email me and they're like, hey, I want to be in a committed relationship. I want to get married. I want to have some kids. I want these things to go down, right? And a lot of times, women are making mistakes in their dating lives, which will, it's going to make it harder for them and for you, ladies, to actually get a guy to want to marry you or to get married. Because this is the thing. Sometimes you're doing things, but you don't even realize that you're doing it. And this list of things right here, are some things that you might be doing, and some things are totally out of your, control, as far as there might be certain things that the man might be doing as to why he doesn't want to marry you or something like that. But, there are a lot of things that you're doing that is stopping you from really getting with the guy to the point where he actually wants to be with you long term and marry you. You understand what I'm saying? So what I wanted to do with this is I wanted to go through this list of 15 things, 15 reasons why you're not married. And you can listen to these, and what I want you to do is I want you to have an open mind. I want you to really take heed to what's being said here. Because what's being said here is the truth. And, I always say this a lot of times, and especially when I coach men and women, but especially when I coach women, a lot of what I notice is a lot of women aren't ready to receive the truth. They're not ready to receive real game, because a lot of the, relationship advice out there for women is this very soft, feel-goody type of stuff that doesn't really tell you the real deal. And then when a lot of times when you ladies hear the real deal, you get kind of defensive and, you don't really get the information. So I want you to understand that it's very important that you keep an open mind, that you listen to all these reasons. And some of these reasons might not apply to you. Some of them will. And, what I want you ladies to do is just to promise yourselves, make a promise to yourself that you're going to work on your dating game so that you can actually make things happen for you. Because I actually get pissed off when I see women making the same mistakes over and over again. And and I do these things to help you ladies. I don't do these things to poke fun or to get you annoyed or whatever. I really want you ladies to get what you want out of your dating lives. And there's a lot of women who want to get married. So I want you ladies to actually get the right information so that you can work on yourselves. Because when you work on yourself, then you attract the type of men you want. See, I always want you to remember, this is not necessarily about you doing things technically just to get a man. This is doing things to improve yourself overall. And once you improve yourself, that's when you're going to attract certain type of guys. You understand what I'm saying? So it's about, self-improvement for yourself, right? So I want to get into this. I want to jump into these real quick. I'm going to talk about the reasons, and I'm going to explain each reason why you're not married and why it's, tough for you to get married, and reasons and things that you can do to turn it around to, improve yourself and to attract the guys that you want, attract the guys that will actually want to really marry you. Okay? All right. So this is in no particular order of importance. I'm going to go from 1 to 15. I'm not going to do a countdown. I'm going to just go from 1 to 15. Just keep it simple. And here we go. So, first reason why you're not married is because you have nothing going on in your life. You have nothing going on in your life. What do I mean by that? You're probably saying, what do you mean? I do have stuff going on. But what I mean by you have nothing going on in your life is that you don't have a life of your own besides you wanting to be with a man or you wanting to be with your boyfriend or whatever, any guy you're dealing with. When that becomes your whole life, men are not really that attracted to that. They want to know that you have things going on, that you have things that you can bring to the table, that you have something that you're passionate about that is separate from him or from men. So if a guy meets you, let's say, for example, a guy meets you at a party or at a bar or at a club, and you're having a conversation, and he's like, he's like, what do you do for a living? And you're like, well, I'm unemployed right now. And there's nothing wrong with being unemployed. But if you say you're unemployed, he's like, okay, so what do you like to do? And then if you say, well, I don't like to do anything, I just hang out and chill. You understand that? That's not really it's not interesting for him. He might think you're cute. You know what I'm saying? He might think you're sexy or whatever. And he'll still probably talk to you off the strength of that. But that, you basically not having anything else going on is not going to be attractive to him. Because, the guys who are about something, the guys who have something going on, they want to make sure that the women they're dealing with actually have something going on. And they're not going to want to really be committed to a woman who has nothing going on. Because if you have nothing going on, then you have nothing to lose. And if you have nothing to lose, what that dictates to him is that you are looked at as basically like a liability. Because now if you have nothing to lose and you have nothing going on, then he will be the only thing that you have going on. And then and then let's say, for example, you feel like, well, let's say I get together and you get jealous about something, or something comes up and then you get upset about a certain thing, and then he can feel all that drama and frustration coming toward him because he becomes your only source of, enjoyment. So a guy actually likes when you have things going on because, one, it shows that, you have passion, you're passionate about something, you got, you have interesting things to talk about because you're doing interesting things. And also, it shows him that, he can feel like, well, I can actually maybe even learn something from this woman. She can bring something different in my life that I probably didn't know about, or, that I wasn't aware of, or that I didn't have access to. And she can also add to what I'm doing in my life. It could be financial, it could be, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is. You're adding something to his life because you have things going on besides just him. So when you have nothing going on in your life, and a guy sees that, what happens is he just sees you as, okay, well, I'm just going to keep her as fuck buddy status. If you're cute, you're like, well, she's cute enough to have sex with, but that's where it stops because there's nothing else going on besides just her being cute. So you have to have something going on in your life. You have to have things that you're passionate about, things you're working on, things you're striving for. There has to be something there, because if there's not anything there, it's going to be hard for most guys to really, take you seriously as a long-term girl, long-term relationship type of thing, as a wife. You understand? Now, there are some guys who will still kind of want to be with you, and it won't be that big of a deal, because some guys, there are guys out there here and there that might not care that much, but usually those are the guys who, either don't have anything going on themselves, or they just want kind of like a chick to just sit there and be pretty, and them, handle, they're going to take care of everything, and, they don't really give a damn about you doing anything. But those two type of dudes usually want you to be in a position to where you have nothing, you have no say in anything, because they're looking at it like, well, I'm providing everything, I bring everything to the table, you just sit there, look cute, and shut up, and I'll, you know what I'm saying? So it's that type of vibe. So, at the end of the day, it's better that you have something going on. All right? So that's number one. Now, the second reason why you're not married is that you're too bossy. You are too bossy. You boss men around. You're always telling men what to do. You're very aggressive. You're way too bossy. I remember I was sort of dating this one girl. I wouldn't say, were we dating? I don't know. Well, we were kind of dating. We were seeing each other. We would hang out. It wasn't anything like serious, but we were attracted to each other. We were flirted, we were flirted a lot. So I guess you could say we were sort of like friends, but we would, see each other here and there, whatever. And yeah, I guess you could say we were friends. And the reason why I didn't really date her seriously, actually, we were friends. The reason why I didn't really date her seriously was because she was way too bossy. We would go out and get something to eat, and then she would like try to tell me what I should and shouldn't eat, tell me where I should and shouldn't sit. Like everything was like her kind of, like really basically bossing me around. And I was like, this is like turning me off. And this woman was beautiful. She was a cool chick, but she just had this bossy thing going on. And I was just like, oh, I can't take that. And a lot of guys that I coach, they also tell me that when a woman is bossy, it's a big turnoff. So the thing is, you got to recognize if you are that type of bossy woman. And you might have to tone that down a little bit. Don't tell a man what he should and shouldn't be doing all the time. You understand? It's not attractive to most men for you to be bossy. And since if you are bossy, that could be a reason why a man does not want to be in a committed relationship with you and get married to you. So you have to really tone down your bossiness. All right. So that's number 2, is that you're bossy. Now, number 3, the third reason why you're not married is you try to change a guy. You try to change a guy. Now, a lot of women think that they can change men. And I'm trying to tell you, ladies, right now that you're wasting your time if you think you could change a guy. And when you try to change a guy, he can tell. It's obvious to him. See, men like to be free. We like freedom. We like to feel like we're free to do and say and be how we want to be. So if he notices that, let's say you guys are dating, you're dating this dude, and he notices that you're trying to change him, you're telling him, oh, well, yeah, your house is cool, but maybe if you would like do this to it or do that to it, or, or maybe if you act a certain way like this when we're in front of these people, and it almost sounds like the bossy girl, but it's not necessarily the bossy girl. It's like you're kind of implying that he should change certain things, or you're trying to change certain things about him. And he doesn't like that. So a guy, when he's dating you and he sees that you're trying to change him, all he feels like is that this might be a preview to what it might be to when if he marries you or he takes it to that level. So what you have to understand is that, when it comes to you dealing with a guy, you should not be trying to change him. You need to accept the man that you're with. Accept the guy that you're dating. If you do not like the guy he is, then you need to choose another guy. But do not get with a guy how he is and then try to change him or mold him into something that you want. Or you understand what I'm saying? So you have to find guys where they're at, accept them how they are, and then keep it moving like that. Because if you try to change him, he's going to notice, he's not going to be feeling it, and he's not going to get into any committed type of relationship with you, and then you are not going to be getting married to this guy, no matter how much you like him. Because he can feel you trying to change him. All right? So that's number 3. Now, up to number 4. So the fourth reason why you're not married is you have poor conversational skills. You have poor conversational skills. Now, this is so important, and I need to spend just some time on this, because you have to feel where I'm coming from with this. You got to feel this, okay? Now, when I say you have poor conversational skills, when it comes to your conversation skills, right? What I mean is this. From the beginning of when you are interacting with a guy, your conversation skills have to be on point generally in various different situations. That means that your conversation skills have to be on point even when you are rejecting a guy. Your conversation skills have to be on point when you are trying to express what you want from a man. See, a lot of times, the reason why a lot of you ladies don't get married or don't get in committed relationships is because you have not had enough practice with your verbal game. So since you haven't had enough practice with your verbal game, what happens is that you have a sort of like an automatic, you're sort of on autopilot when it comes to having certain conversations or certain interactions with men. And then being on that autopilot mode, it basically hinders you from having or creating situations for you to have, a really good interaction and or relationship, or build a relationship with a man. So I'll give you an example. If you're walking down the street or you're somewhere and a guy is trying to talk to you and you just ignore him, or let's say you kind of like brush him off, or you scream at him, or you like, oh, get out my face, or whatever, any of those type of things, that is the beginning of you really having poor conversation skills. Because even if you're not into this guy, there's a way that you can have an interaction or dialogue with that guy to make it more, and it's not even technically about him per se, it's about you, because what it is that you need to get into a zone, or you need to get into a habit of knowing how to talk to men. Because what's going to happen is that you keep brushing off guys, ignoring them, acting like you don't need to say anything, and oh, whatever, fuck you, and get out my face, and all this other stuff that, most of you ladies have done. You've been in those situations, and I know you're going to say, well, there's guys that come up to me and say disrespectful stuff, and this and this and that. Yes, we know this. I understand that goes down. But for you, what you need to do is you need to get into the habit of knowing how to diffuse those situations. You got to get into the habit of knowing how to politely tell a guy, I'm not interested. You have to get into the habit of being able to acknowledge a man. And the reason why I say this is because the guys that you're not interested in talking to are just as important as the guys that you are interested in talking to. Because what happens is that if you're talking, if enough guys come up to you that you're not interested in, and you communicate with these guys that you're not interested in, or they're trying to talk to you and you're trying to ignore them or whatever, or, trying to, you don't really know how to diffuse the situation or whatever, you're going to have, in most cases, more situations where you're talking to guys or guys are coming up to you that you're not really interested in. And then you're going to create this habit of responding to men. You're going to create this habit of just responding to men a certain way. So when you do get approached by a guy that you might sort of like, or a guy that you say, okay, I'm kind of into this guy. What happens is that you're so used to responding a certain way that, like I said, the autopilot shit starts kicking in. Then the guy that you actually like receives the same type of verbal communication that you did with the other guys that you didn't like, because you're already in that frame of mind. You've conditioned yourself to respond to men this way. So then next you're talking to a guy trying to talk to you, and you're like, hey, wait a second, I'm attracted to this guy, sort of. I see that I kind of like him, but I don't know what to say. I don't really know how to communicate that or keep that going. Because not only, let's say for example, guy comes up to you, you're on autopilot, you're kind of ignoring him, but then you're like, wait a second, I'm attracted to this guy, and then you kind of say, okay, I'm going to talk to him. Then you talk to him, then he's trying to have a conversation with you, but you haven't had enough practice to have dialogues with men to be able for him to say, well, you know what? I'm actually interested in this chick. Like, yeah, she's cute and she's actually saying something, so I'm really excited to talk to her. That's not going to happen if you have not had practice communicating with men. So it's not about just being nice or just being polite to the men that you like. It's about being nice, being cordial, being polite, knowing how to communicate with men all across the board, even if you don't like them. Because that is what is going to help you. You're training yourself, you're training your mind, you're training your verbal, your verbal skills or whatever, to be prepared for when that guy you do like comes to you. So when that guy you do like comes to you, you're already on ball with actually knowing how to communicate to men. You understand this? So then when you get that guy that you actually like and he's there and you're communicating to him and he's like, oh my goodness, this girl is actually on point and she look good, I'm trying to fuck with her. I'm trying to get with that. And that can lead to you actually being in a committed relationship with a guy and getting married. But see, the lack of your communication skills and having poor communication skills is what is going to, make it harder for you to communicate with guys when you actually get approached by a guy you like. So number 4, that's the number 4. The reason was you have poor, conversational skills, and when your skills are poor in this area, it can really affect the type of men you meet, the type of men that that you're attracting, and it'll determine if guys want to actually keep seeing you or not. All right. So we're gonna move on to number 5. So the 5th reason why you're not married is you flirt with other men in front of men while you're dating. In front of the men you're dating. Excuse me. So you flirt with other men in front of men you're dating. So I've seen this a couple of times, and I'm just like, really? What are you doing? Like, let's say you're out on a date with a guy, and it's, could be like the first date or second date or whatever. And let's say y'all are at a party or a function where people are kind of, mingling or whatever. And another guy might come up to you and say something, and then you're, giving off these flirty signals right in front of the guy that you're dating. Or you're walking with the guy that you're dating, you guys are walking, and, he sees you like checking out another dude, like obviously checking out the other guy. It's just like, when a guy sees that, he's like, okay, yeah, I can't take this girl seriously. Because it's not necessarily that you are checking out other guys or flirting with other guys. Like, this guy's not your boyfriend yet, so you technically don't owe him anything, or you're not committed or whatever. But the thing is that he's looking at it, you're out with me now, so you should show me the respect to not be flirting with other guys or being all googly-eyed while the guys are around while I'm right in front of you. You understand? Like, I had a friend one time, she brought her friend to this, I had a friend, she brought this guy to this cookout one time. So there was like, barbecue joint. She brings the guy over. And one of my other friends, she used to flirt with, and he was there. Like, they would, they never really went out, but they would flirt all the time. So the guy she bought was chilling there, and then she started flirting with my friend in front of this dude. And he had this look on his face like, what's going on with y'all two? You know what I mean? So she's flirting with this other dude in front of her date, and it's not a good look. So you ladies, do not flirt with another man while you're on a date with your date. He's not going to like that, and that's going to make him see you as someone he can't take seriously, as being in a committed relationship, and eventually, some marriage material. You understand? So that's number 5. So number 6, the 6th reason why you're not married is you have a bad attitude. Now, the last membership audio I did was all about your attitude. And if you didn't listen to that, make sure you listen to it, or listen to it again. Because if you have a bad attitude, a guy is not going to want to get in a committed relationship with you. He's not going to want to marry you. He's just going to want to most likely just have sex with you. That's as far as it's going to go in most cases. So again, you have to check your attitude. Make sure that you are not coming with a bad attitude. Make sure you're not being mean and rude and disrespectful towards him. Because, when you do those things, he's going to look at it like, well, do I want to be with this girl for the long term? And most guys are not trying to be with a woman with a bad attitude. And the thing is, you have to check yourself. This is something that you have to do constantly. Because it has to be a habit. It has to become part of your character that you develop a good attitude. Because that's what's going to make men more attracted to you. When you have a good attitude, they're like, okay, I'm attracted to her physically, and she also has a good attitude. So that is number 6. You have a bad attitude. All right, so number 7 reason why you're not married is you're too clingy. So if you first meet a guy and you're being too clingy and you're latching onto him, this is the first date, second date, and like after the date you're calling him 10 times, you're asking him how he thought the date was, you're talking about meeting the parents in the first week, if you're telling him that you're thinking about him all the time and this is like the first time you guys went out, that's showing him you're too clingy, and that's going to scare the guys away, because guys start to see that as you being being going to be too much on him. And guys like freedom. They like to feel like, they're free to do and go here and do this and be anywhere they want to be and not have to have something that they need to latch on to. You understand? And, when you talk about getting married, guys, even when a guy wants to get married or a guy decides to get married, in most cases, if it's a good situation, he actually wants to really do this, and he feels that it's right for him to do that at that time, and he usually gets married to a woman who he feels that is not going to disrupt his freedom in some sort of way. You understand what I'm saying? Part of most guys, they know that part of their freedom it's not going to be the same as when they were single. You understand? But if you're showing that you're clingy at first, he's going to interpret that like, oh my goodness, this woman is not going to let me breathe at all. I'm not going to be able to do anything. So when you're showing that you're clingy, from the, and it's like the first, second date is from the jump, then it's going to be, harder for you to attract him and for you to make, for him to even be thinking about you as wifey material. All right. So that's number 7, is that you're too clingy. All right. So number 8, 8th reason why you're not married is that you treat your boyfriend like he's your kid. You treat your man like he's your kid, meaning that you have this like you're too much of a motherly figure to him. Now, some guys like that, actually. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of guys who don't like that, where you're treating him like he's your son. You're not treating him as a man, where you're basically like mothering him and babying him. See, there's a difference between being a good girlfriend, or showing affection like a girlfriend would, or doing certain things that a girlfriend likes to do, or a guy would like his girlfriend to do. But the thing is that if you treat him like a kid and you're not treating him like a man, what happens is that he sometimes will also get into this kid-like position mentally. You understand what I'm saying? And then the thing is that if you're treating him like that, it's going to be less likely that he's going to be on some marriage material type of vibe, because he has that kid mentality, because you're initiating that kid-like situation. So you have to kind of check that you're not treating your man like your kid. And there's an energy that goes with this. This is kind of like a vibe that's there, where, this kind of goes back to where I was saying for number 2, we were talking about, being bossy. Bossing your man around is almost like treating him like a kid. You understand? So you don't want to, have that situation happen when you're dealing with the guy that you're dealing with. All right. So number 7 is you're too clingy. Number 8 is you treat your man like a kid. Sorry, I got all mixed up. All right. So number 9 is you want to be the leader. So the 9th reason why you're not married is because you want to be the leader. You want to be in control of everything. You want to lead the relationship. And the guy wants to be the leader. The guy wants to be the one that is in charge. You understand? So, if you're being super domineering and want to run the show, most guys are not going to be into that. Most guys are not going to be attracted to a woman who is trying to dominate everything and to, basically lead him. So guys are not into that. So, if you are the type of woman who feels like that and who is like that, you got to understand that you're going to be running into problems a lot of times when you're trying to be with a man for marriage. You feel what I'm saying? So number 9 is you want to be the leader. Now number 10, the 10th reason why you're not married is you make poor life decisions. You make poor life decisions. So simply what this means is that when you're dealing with a guy and let's say you're dating a guy, and if he sees that you continuously do things that look like you're kind of like fucking up, or like you are a fuck up, that's going to make him say, well, I don't know if I want to be with this woman long term, because let's say if we have kids, will she be a good mother? If I need her to take care of something, will she be able to take care of this? So when you make poor life decisions, like let's say if you were out with your friends and then you got drunk, or you're getting drunk every weekend and you're like passed out on the floor, and then your boyfriend has to come keep, picking you up at 4 a.m, and he has to wake up at, 7 o'clock to go to work, but you're out partying with your girls and getting pissy drunk. He's going to be like, why you keep doing this? I can't deal with this. And he will not want to marry a woman like that. You understand? When you make poor life decisions, what happens is that he's going, if you continue to do that, what's going to happen is he's going to see that as, well, this is a woman that I can't really be around, because it's going to reflect badly on me, and also it can ruin certain things that I'm trying to do in my life. So he needs to know that you are responsible. There's not that, no one's perfect, but he needs to see that you are responsible, that you know how to basically take care of yourself, doing the simplest things. Because there are a lot of women out there who will do certain things that, a guy will look at it as, well, this is unacceptable because this seems really simple, but you're not taking this task and getting it done. So then the guy's looking at it like, well, I don't want to actually just put my life and in this situation with this type of woman. All right, so number 10 is you make poor life decisions. All right, so number 11, the 11th reason you're not married is your boyfriend isn't ready to get married. It's really that simple. He doesn't want to get married right now. So at this point, you're with this guy and you've been with him for a while. You're like, why are we getting married? And it's just really simple. He's not ready. He's not, at a place in his life where he wants to commit to get married to you. And the thing is, you're probably saying, but why? If we're together, we've been together, why can't we just get married? What's the holdup? And it's really, he just needs to feel it. He needs to feel like he wants to do it. It's the same way where, if you're dealing with a guy and, you like, he might be like, damn it, why can't we just have sex now? And, I knew you for like at least 2 hours. Why can't we just have sex? And you're like, well, I'm not ready to have sex with you. Like, chill the fuck out. You understand? So the same thing with guys when it comes to marriage. He's like, I'm not ready to get married. And also, like they when they talk about freedom, they're like, well, I like how it feels to not be married right now, and I don't really want to get married now until I'm actually ready to do it. So you got to be, you got to be the type of woman that understands that. Okay? So number 11 is your boyfriend isn't ready to get married. Now number 12 reason you're not married is your boyfriend doesn't want to ever get married. Now this one is different a little bit from number 11. And the difference with this is that the man that you're with, he doesn't ever want to get married. He doesn't like the idea of marriage. And the thing is that in most cases, he probably hasn't even told you this. So you might be bringing it up and he's saying, yeah, not yet. I'm not ready. So you're thinking it's just that he's not ready, but he actually doesn't want to get married. And he's still sticking with you because he likes you, but deep down, he doesn't really want to get married. Now, these type of guys might actually still get married to you at some point, but he still probably doesn't even want to get married when he is married to you. This is this type of situation where women will get married and then, divorces happen because the guy never really wanted to get married in the first place. But then they get married because of the pressure from from you or, their girlfriends or whatever. And they're like, all right, I'll just marry you. But, the reason why you're not married is because he doesn't really want to get married at all. So the thing is, he's probably saying, okay, so, but then what do I do now? If I'm with this guy and he doesn't want to get married, what do you do? Right? So the thing is is that you have to, and I was talking to a woman about this the other day, and this is kind of a tough thing because you'll love your boyfriend, and he most likely loves you too, right? But then you say, I really want to get married, and then you got to express that to him. Now, if you've been expressing it to him, and then years and years and years have gone by, and he still doesn't want to get married, you have to have that communication and say, you got to communicate and say, what is it about? Do you really want to get married? Be honest with me. What is it about it? What would make you want to get married? These are the things that you and him have to have a conversation about. Now, after you have this conversation and he still does not want to get married, then you have to make a choice. You have to say, well, do I want to just stay with him like this and do this, or do I leave him and try to find somebody else who wants to marry me? Now, I always say this when this situation comes up, is that, you have to say to yourself, what do you want the marriage for? Do you want the marriage because you want to be with him, or do you want to just like the marriage? Do you want the idea of marriage? So this is very important when you talk about this, because, if you leave this guy because he's not marrying you, and then you get with other guys, you might get with other guys and you're not feeling these guys, and then this guy that you left, your boyfriend, could have been the best type of guy for you. You could have had, a great connection and good chemistry, but now you're leaving just because he didn't want to get married. So you got to ask yourself, is it worth leaving him just to have a marriage title? But then on the other hand, you could leave him and find some other guy who is that you could have a good time with, y'all could connect, and then y'all can get married. So, the choice is up to you. But I always tell women to think about this when this situation comes up where they're with a guy that they really love, but he's not really trying to marry you. Okay? So that was number 12. Your boyfriend doesn't want to get married. Number 13 is you don't take care of your physical appearance. So this is real, simple. Like, it's like, just like a guy, if he doesn't see that, you're trying to stay fit, you're trying to work out, because guys are very visual. You want to see that, like, hey, if you're going to be my wife, I want you to stay in shape. If we have a kid, hopefully you could, go back to the gym together. Like, guys like to know that their woman is going to look good. You understand? And if at this point you're not even taking care of yourself, most guys are not going to look at you as wifey material, because they want their wife to look good. So if you actually keep up your looks and you take care of yourself, you're more likely to get a guy who will think about having a long-term relationship with you, because he sees you as someone that he's going to be attracted to in the long term. Because a lot of guys fear that, oh my goodness, I'm going to get this girl pregnant, she's going to get fat, and that's it. So that's like the whole thing, in most cases. Now, that's not to say that there are guys who like big women. So it all depends on the guy. So you got to figure out what the guy, that you're dealing with is into. And if you like him, then, you keep that up and y'all make that happen. You feel me? So number 13 is you don't take care of your physical appearance. Now, number 14 is that you use men. That you use men. And what do I mean by that? That you use men. So, a lot of times, like, and most of you ladies have probably done this, where you get with a guy and you only got with him because he had a car. so he can drive you from here to there. Or you only got with this guy to help you move from this place to that place. You only got with this guy because he's, helping you out financially. You only got, what I'm saying? So you're using guys. So what happens is, like I was saying with, earlier about the conversation skills, is that, when you get into a habit of being rude with your conversation skills and don't have conversation skills, same thing when you get into a habit of using men. So when you do find a guy that you really like, you understand? Like, you can say, well, yeah, I like him, so I'm not going to just use him. I want to actually have some sort of relationship with him. But now, you haven't developed any skills, because this is what I try to tell you, ladies, is that in order to keep a man, there's certain things you need to know. There's certain things you need to develop. There's certain habits you need to, acquire. And if your habit is using men, then it's going to somehow come out. Even if you like this guy, you're gonna it's going to be on a subconscious level. You're going to find a way to use him, or end up using him for something. And he's going to feel that. He's going to be like, oh, she's just using me for this. Or if you're not trying to use him, you haven't developed the skill to keep him or have any other attributes that are, going to make him, interested in you. Because, you're so used to using guys that you don't have any other skill to keep them around. Because the only reason they're probably around, or the only reason why they're around and they were letting you use them, is most likely because they're attracted to you and they want to have sex with you. You understand? So that's what comes out when you're with that other guy. It's like, okay, yeah, you're attractive, but then he's like, okay, so what's going to make me keep, want to stay here? And if you're so used to just using men, then that's the type of energy you're going to bring towards him. You feel me? Now, the last one, number 15, the 15th reason why you're not married is you don't know what you want. You don't know what you want. Now, if you don't know what you want, then how are you going to get what you want? You need to know what you want first. And a lot of times when, you ladies date, you say, okay, I want this, I want that. And then that thing you said you want presents itself. And then you're not really sure if you want that once it's there. And then, so it's like you're all over the place. So you have to really define what you want. What do you want in a relationship? What type of man do you want? How do you want your relationships to go? You understand? What are you willing to accept? What are you willing to not accept? And actually be honest with that and stick with that. Because once you do that, once you know what you want, then you have a better idea of where you need to go and what you need to do to get it. But if you do not know what you want, it's going to be impossible for you to first find the guy, and then two, also have a guy give you what you want and you getting what you want. You understand? So, how are you going to get married? How are you going to make that happen if you don't know what you want? Right? So it's very important for you to know what you want. So that is the 15 reasons why you're not married. And let me give you a bonus. I'll give you a bonus one. So this is a bonus reason. And the bonus reason why you're not married is you don't really want to be married. You don't really want to be married. Not saying you don't ever want to get married, but right now, the reason why you're not married is because you don't really want it now. You don't want it. And the reason why I say this is because there's a lot of women who, when you're married and you are a wife, there are certain things that need to be done as a wife. There's certain responsibilities you have as a wife. And some women are not in that position yet. Some women are not ready to be a wife. You might not be ready to be a wife. So you got to ask yourself, are you ready to be a wife? Are you ready to, be a wife to a man, to a husband? Are you really ready for that? Do you still want to go out and get drunk at all hours of the night and do all that crazy stuff? Do you still want to have sex with multiple dudes, unless you're in an open relationship. But, if you're in a monogamous relationship and if you still want to have sex with a whole bunch of guys and flirt and date and do all this other stuff and get all this attention, you might not be ready to be married. And your actions will dictate that you don't really want to get married right now. So you got to be honest with yourself and say, hey, do I really want to get married? Because sometimes the only reason why you want to get married is because everybody else is doing it. You say to yourself, well, she's getting married and my friend's getting married. I feel like I need to get married. So you're only getting married because of what other women are doing, what society says you should be doing, the societal pressure of you being a woman and feeling like you need to get married now. So you got to understand that you don't necessarily need to do that. And the reason why you're not married is because deep down inside, you do not want to get married right now. So, it's very important that you ask yourself that question. Like, do I actually want to get married? Am I ready to get married? If the answer is no, then that's cool. Then you just wait until you're ready to do that. Then, then you can make those things happen. And if you're not ready, then, it's okay. If you are ready, you have to listen to basically all the stuff I was saying in this audio and try to make sure that you are improving yourself and making sure that you are not doing all these extra things that will hinder your chances of getting married. You feel me? So that is it, ladies. That is it. I want to thank you for listening. Make sure you rewind this, play it back, listen to it as much as you need to. If you have any questions, you can hit me up at askmrlocario@gmail.com. Make sure you also get my book, It's Your Fault You're Single, Tips on Finding Mr. Right. Go to MrLocario.com and get your copy today. Now, before you turn off this video, I want you to do two quick things. One, I want you to click the link below and send me your questions. If you have any questions on dating and relationships, I'll make a video about it. And two, I want you to click the link under that to get my free audio program, 7 highly effective steps for finding and keeping a man. And I'll talk to you guys later. Remember, the truth is inside you. Peace. I'm gone.